A product ad appears on your Instagram feed right after you Googled it, or even just thought of it. That's not telepathy, that's personalization. Why should you personalize products? What are the types of personalization? And most importantly, how do you do it right? My today's video is all about it. Let's dive in. People appreciate a personal touch. Even bad coffee in a paper cup tastes better when somebody draws your name and a heart in it. What's more, research from McKinsey shows that businesses that are particularly successful in personalization generate 40% more revenue than their average counterparts. 71% of customers expect personalization, and 76% get frustrated when they don't find one. That's why nowadays product design is hard to imagine without it. But to start with, what is personalization? A sure sign that personalization techniques are used is when an app reacts differently depending on a user profile or other variables, such as locations or time. It's important to distinguish personalization from customization. The latter is related to changes in UI that users make themselves, for example, when they change color themes. Personalization, just like targeted ads, can be very helpful sometimes and very annoying and even nasty in others. For example, websites with dynamic pricing can use customers' personal data to adjust prices and show higher ones to a user opening a website from an iPhone. Personalization can be simple, like adding your name to the welcome screen, or more sophisticated. Companies with large budgets can afford all of it, but personalization is still worth an investment, even when your resources are limited. Why? Let's talk about the benefits of personalization. First of all, it saves users time. When your browser places links to the 6 websites you visit the most often on the starting page, it spares you with the time of entering the website address in the search field. Yes, it saves from 3 to 30 seconds, depending on the user, but many things in UX design are about to saving those few seconds here and there. Eventually, they matter to people. Anytime someone rushes across the road when the red light is on for too long, yes, it's a question of saving some seconds. Next, personalization helps improve user engagement, conversion, and retention rates. It allows a product to provide relevant info and better user recommendations. When people feel that the app knows what they want, they will likely interact more, remain loyal, and pay for it. They feel extra value in personalization. Finally, because of this, personalization gives a competitive advantage. In a world of hundreds of similar products, good personalization is much easier and can be more efficient than an attempt to build unique functionality or design. The personalized experience makes users remember your app and choose it among the others. I think it's enough to persuade you that it's a good idea to include some personal approach. But how? Let's talk about it. While targeted ads are the most recognizable kind, there is more to it, and it might not always be visible. The first type we need to talk about is segment-based personalization. Many apps ask users about their objectives at the beginning of the collaboration. It's a typical solution for segment-based personalization. From the very first steps, the product suggests features that might be the most suitable for them. This type of personalization has a high chance of being non-intrusive and efficient. People usually don't feel like they're sharing too much personal information when they say that they will use the product to learn a language, to travel or work. That's the case of the Busuu language learning app. The vocabulary and exercises change depending on the learner's objective, knowledge level, and the time dedicated to learning. And here is how one of our clients, a customer experience platform, TextMagic, organized a personalized marketing system. You can segment users by different categories such as their location, dates of subscription, or last interactions with the email. Check out our video on onboarding personalization if you want to learn more. The next type is location-based personalization. There are many obvious use cases for it. Many e-commerce websites won't let you make a single click until they can locate you, and would ask you to choose the country of delivery manually in case the website couldn't detect it. Another good example is Seek. an app for identifying animals and plants. It suggests to users that they can learn something about the animals common in their area to keep them engaged. Next, we have time-based personalization. Time is not perceived as personal information, but it can be used for personalization as well. Switching to the dark mode is most basic example of using it. There are more complex ones. Meditation apps like Calm will suggest it to do a deep meditation at night, and a Calm one is for morning. Our next type is cross-selling personalization. Have you ever gone down on the "you may also like" rabbit hole on your e-commerce website? That's about it. Online sellers have mastered cross-selling, and now it has become a kind of standard for e-commerce. The difference, as always, is in the level of sophistication. These suggestions can be prepared manually or half manually by content editor based on complex algorithms or even AI-powered systems. Finally, let's talk about individualized personalization. This kind of personalization goes the extra mile when compared to the segment-based. Relying on the all available data and user behavior, the system makes conclusions on users' characteristics, labeling them as aspiring photographers in search of a job, singles, vegans, Star Wars fans, and so on. Let's take a famous personalization master, Netflix. Their objective is to create a fully personalized homepage experience. From the outside, it looks simple. For those who like dramas, they show dramas. Those who like vintage thrillers get vintage thrillers. But there is more to it. For example, the same film can have different artwork shown to the different users. If a user is a fan of Uma Thurman, for instance, they would see a Pulp Fiction artwork with her picture, while a person who has just watched several films with John Travolta would see him instead. Let's get a little bit more practical. If you already have a product or plan to create one, take a moment and reflect how you can apply this type of personalization to it. Maybe you already have something in place, but you missed one. Or if you use something that we haven't covered here, let me know in the comments. For now, let's try applying different types of personalization. Imagine we have a generic fitness app. What options do we have? First, we can split users based on their fitness objectives. Those who do fitness for rehab, those who want to lose weight, yoga lovers, those who want to be fit, those who love and hate running, and so on. We tag each workout for a specific segment and show users the ones that would help reach their objective. Then, location-based personalization. Typically, fitness apps need to access the user's location to track their running and walking progress. To motivate them to stick to their running routine, we can show a beautiful picture from the park where they run often on the welcome screen. In the morning, the app would show 5-minute stretch to wake you up in the middle of the day and 5 exercises to do in the office during the lunch break, and so on. But it's not the best idea to remind users to go jogging at 7 p.m. in winter if the app knows that you don't jog in this darkness. Finally, we can do cross-selling. If app owners want to make income by selling sports goods, they must use personalization to show users relevant ones. Yoga mats under a yoga workout, rain vest next to the graph of the run in progress, ideally on a rainy day. Remember about location. There are some of the easiest cases of personalization in UX. Examples are based on the 100% available data. If users granted us access to other, more private information, the personalization could go much further. So, how do you create design for personalization? Rule number 1 is to base your decisions on data from user research. Whether it's complex machine learning algorithms or just a basic element of personalization, you always have to remember that personalization has to work for all users, not just for you. The basic research for personalization would start with an in-depth user interviews. It helps to learn what level of personalization your target audience would appreciate and what would be too much for them. To verify and adjust design solutions, A/B testing works best. It helps designers to avoid bias and check the results with a wide array of users. Personalization design must be checked and revised from time to time. That's why you have to check on your users through the survey or some interviews once in a while. In modern products, constant changes and adjustments are key to success. Designers face a number of challenges when working on personalization in product design. Let's start with ethics of personalization. The privacy concern we mentioned before is one of the first issues that pops up whether you want it or not. To prevent people from having unpleasant surprises, the design must rely on principles of transparency and reciprocity. To make it easier, we have formulated a few rules that would make your personalization ethical. Let users know where you take their private data from and how you plan to use it. Many people are familiar with the scary feeling when in-app ads are so well-targeted that they seem to listen not only all that you are saying, but even what you are thinking. To make targeting more ethical, YouTube lets people know why they see certain ads, at least to those who can find the tiny button on the down left corner. Don't oblige people to provide all the permissions at once. Often, the first thing you see when opening a new app is a pop-up asking you to provide access to literally everything. Even if it's a sole function, it is to light a candle at a concert. It makes users hesitant to approve as it's likely to cause annoyance. The smart move is to ask the permissions and access when it's essential to complete a certain task and go one by one, not building them all together. Makeover, to make people feel better about sharing the private info, provide some value first. Often, apps ask users to give access to the data from their phones at the moment they open it for the first time. Naturally, many people feel comfortable about giving so much info, especially when they don't see clearly how it will be used. Finally, let them opt out easily. In many cases, finding the privacy page in settings is a real challenge. Try to make it easy to find, as hiding the information doesn't help build trust with users. Smart design was ask for that data later on the user journey, when they have already got some value from the product and thus are more willing to give something in return. These pieces of advice will work only if product's inner architecture is ethical and doesn't use private data for unauthorized motives. Another less obvious tip for doing design right is to avoid over-personalization. Most solutions on personalization's politics are the responsibility of product managers and developers. Whether you're a founder or PM or UX professional, keep in mind that too much personalization hurts. It can create mistrust and annoyance, finally resulting in an overall negative user experience. If you want to find out where the thin line between just enough and too much is, read our article about overpersonalization, link in the description. All in all, personalization is the future of UX. Though functionality has a higher priority, personalization lets products gain a competitive advantage when they reach the product market fit. With the rapid advertisement of AI and ML technologies, personalization has become more sophisticated, precise, and available. So if you think about whether to personalize or not, the answer pretty much always is yes. Can you remember a specific time personalization made you love an app or hate it? Let me know in the comments. I'll be interested in hearing your experience. And let's wrap up for today. Thank you so much for watching. If this video was useful, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and see you in the next one.